Hey gang, Carl White here, broadcasting here in the studios today at the secret headquarters of the Mortgage Marketing Animals. And you're listening to Loan Officer Freedom, #1 podcast in the world today for loan officers. And Kristen, I feel like I need to change up that intro. I don't know what other awesome thing other than being #1. I mean, that's like pretty cool, you
I
know.
mean, you just have to go with number one. If you're number one, you gotta start with that.
It's hard to beat that.
It's
So
hard to
I'm
beat.
joined today, as you can tell, by Miss Wonderful herself, the queen bee around here, Miss Kristin Simpson. And how's everything up there in Great Pennsylvania today?
It is cold. It is 40 degrees, well, 37 degrees right now, but that's all
Wow.
right. It feels like Christmas to me. It feels like the holidays.
Yeah, it's hard to feel like I'm sitting here with a pair of shorts on, so it's yeah, down here in Florida. All
Yep.
right, so our topic today is Kristen. You're going to be my ducky. Do you know what a ducky is?
I do not. Should I be
Ducky. A duck?
nervous?
No, 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 not at all. Not at all. I'm always respectful. So it's here's what a ducky is. So a ducky. So in software engineering, when they and I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they taught me this. I love this. So in software engineering, when they get stuck on something, they so this person tells me, it makes perfect sense. They've got like a little rubber duck,
Okay.
and they stick this rubber duck up on their table, kind of eye level, and they explain the problem to the rubber duck as if it was real, like as if it was a person. And oftentimes, when they're sitting there having this conversation with this rubber duck, explaining what the problem is, just the just the verbalization of it
Hmm.
gives clarity in their own mind, and they come up with a solution.
Mm.
Isn't that an interesting thought?
Well, I guess it's like having a conversation with yourself, right?
Yeah, well, it's with yourself, but projected toward
Towards the duck. All
this
right.
rubber duck or whatever. And
I'm
and it's
following.
this, but I find that true that like when I get stumped on something, sometimes like if I just call you and say, hey Kristen, I got a situation here. Like, what would you do? And I start describing the situation, and kind of the answer comes to me.
Mm.
It's like it's like conversations in my head are not as clear and concise as when I get them out of my head into a verbalization, even if nobody else is there.
Talking it out.
Talking it out. Yeah, yeah. So you're going to be my ducky, if that's okay. So
Sounds great. I just
which
have to sit
really,
here and smile, right?
well, no, 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 because really, that's what you do in our organization.
Mm.
Is you're the idea person that people call you up. Hey, I'm wanting to close more loans. I'm needing to get more leads. I need to increase my conversion rate. I need to bring something of value. And so that's what you do all day. So I'm sitting here. I said, well, I got a couple ideas for a podcast, but I need somebody to bounce it off of. So yeah, I don't want you to get the idea that, like in your case, the ducky isn't some inanimate object that just sits there and smiles. No, no, no. I'm
I
so
know.
so, so maybe calling you my ducky wasn't the right
No,
term.
it's totally fine.
I've just learned this new phrase, and I just love it. I just love it. So, all right. So let's go into it. So, um, one of the favorite parts of my job, Kristen, is I talk to loan officers all across the nation and get some really good ideas, like the ducky thing. That might end up being a bomb here. I didn't do it justice. It's a great idea, and I love it. I really
Yeah.
do. I love it. So I was talking with this really super cool cat, very successful loan officer. His name is Mike. I'm sorry. His name is Mark Pfeiffer. And Mark taught me something the other day that I wanted to share with you and our listeners today.
Hmm.
He said, Carl, I've got, you've always heard this term, having green time on your calendar and having red time on your calendar.
Right.
And red time is when I'm in the reactive mode. I'm answering emails. I'm solving a problem in a loan. And green time is getting that next loan coming in, right? He said, Carl, there's another one that's even more valuable that everybody forgets about. I said, what's that? He said, it's the gold time.
Oh, what's the gold time?
That's what I said. What's the gold time? He said, all right, the green time is when I'm calling those agents that I'm already working with. So here it is on Monday morning, and I'm calling them, and maybe I'm updating them on what we got going on. Maybe I'm calling them to see, hey, who'd you work with over the weekend that I can help you with? He said, that's green time, very valuable, but not as valuable as gold time. I said, all right, buddy, what's the gold time? He said, the problem, so he's leading me on here, right?
Mhm.
He said, like, he gives me, I felt like a fish on a hook, he's just giving me a little bit of line and let me run with a little bit. He said, the problem with green time, and this is so true, is that all relationships have a shelf life,
Mm.
right? And some of those shelf lives are like long, like Kristen, I truly believe that you and I have a very long shelf life, right? I believe that. You're just, first time I met you, I went, I just like this person,
Mm.
and you happen to be amazing at what you do, and you're just super nice, right? So I really feel like our shelf life is a long run. Mine and
Agreed.
Steve Kyle's long shelf life,
Mhm.
me and Diane, long shelf life. Me and Tammy, long shelf life, right? I've had referral partner relationships that lasted 10, 15 years, and I've had some last, 10, 15 minutes, right? That's how that goes.
Yeah.
But he said if we're only doing green time because of that shelf life issue, that at some point, someday, virtually 100% of those people are no longer going to be working with. At some point they retire. I don't know. I I really screw up and I blow my cool, which would never happen. But I hypothetically I blow my cool and I disrespect them. A week from now, a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, they retire, just whatever. Their kid ends up being a loan officer, and of course they're going to start referring to their kid, right? Who
Right.
wouldn't? But something happens, so you have to always be prospecting for new ones. And he said, and that's gold time. And so we have to make sure that we have in our calendar both green time, which you and I would call our focus 40.
Mhm.
And it's those agents that are referring you business, at least one closing per quarter in the last 12 months. So we want to make sure that we're doing those, which is green time, or what we call focus 40. By the way, the reason why I call it focus 40 is when you have 40 agents that's referring you business, referring you a deal a month, you're well into the mid to high six-figure income, if not seven-figure, depending upon banker, broker, and loan size and whatnot. But anyway, so he said that, and I thought, I've been guilty of that. I've been guilty of focusing in on the green time and not as much on the gold time,
Mm.
and that we always have to be out there searching for new business. Even, and I think the mistake that a lot of us made in the last couple of years, Kristen, even when it's good,
Mhm. Yeah.
because we think, well, I got my 10 closings this month, I got my 20 closings this month, or Hammy Saul just sent me something. I think it was like 87. I got my 87 loans
He's
this month.
amazing.
Yeah. I want to smack her some. I did, Carl, I did 87. What can I do? That's why I love her so
You
much.
know why you can't? Because she's such a hard worker. She earned every single one of those.
Oh, nothing's given to that. Yeah, she's
Yep.
earned every single bit of it. And yeah, and she's at 87 and she goes, hey, how do I get more? How do I get even more?
Mm.
Right. So love her, just absolutely adore her. But anyway, so I think that the key, so I can have a good month and a good quarter by having green time.
Mhm.
But if I want a good year, I want a good 2 years, I've got to be focusing in on the gold time.
Mm.
So isn't that interesting? Green time, gold time. I really like that.
Yeah, I love it. I think that comes down to also surrounding yourself with people who are going to be able to bring you those ideas, for the gold
Mm,
time. Having the conversations with people who are focused on prospecting activities makes a big difference.
yeah, it does.
Kind of like what we do in the Breakfast Club every morning.
Kind of like what we do in the Breakfast Club every morning. That's exactly right. Anyway, I like that. So, all right, I'm going to hodgepodge onto a totally different topic.
Okay, I'm ready.
Have I ever told you my little secret sauce on marketing to my past database, having somebody else do it, being very effective, and costing me about $1 per person per month? Have I ever told you about this one?
I don't think you have.
I love this. Is one of those great ideas that I've kind of forgotten about. So, and maybe I haven't. Maybe I just I'm kind of hiding it here a little bit, and when I bring it
Okay.
out of the closet. So let's say, like let's say you're one of my borrowers, and we're at the closing table, or I'm calling you to congratulate you on closing, or maybe it's the beginning of the file. And I always ask, I always try to find like what's some of your hobbies, like what are you interested in? And so like on the weekends, Kristen, what is you and the wonderful Mr. Kristen? What do you guys do on the weekends? Like
A lot of the
what's up?
kids' sporting activities, but lately, because I've got two in college and only one at home, and he's been out and about, we like to go out, pick different restaurant and go out to eat.
Perfect. So what I would do is there's this really cool website called Discount Mags.
Mhm.
Discount Mags, like magazine,
Yeah.
MAGS, discountmags.com, which I have no affiliation with. And I'm not going to give you a link, a special link or
Mhm.
anything, just one that I've used for years. And what I would do is I would go on there and I would look up, and there's thousands of magazines on this thing.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I'd find one like Connoisseur Today or something. I don't know. I me and the lovely Ms. White almost never go out to restaurants because she loves. We're both a little bit of homebodies, frankly, and she loves cooking. And but
Mhm.
anyway, so I would go find a magazine that specializes in fine dining,
Mhm.
right? Or if you're into hiking or kayaking or uh, parenting, right?
Insert
Parenting magazine,
anything. Yeah.
right? Anything. And or if your hubby is into I don't know, whatever. I'm not trying to stereotype here, but hunting or whatever,
Mhm.
you know um, I would go in there and find a magazine on hunting. Well, what you do is on the address label when I order this thing, so it's about you can get about 12 episodes depending upon the magazine. Some are expensive, some are cheap, but on average they run about a buck, about $12 to $15 for the year for subscription, right?
Mhm.
And when I order it, I put your name at the first part of the, when I'm
Shipping information or whatever.
yeah, the address to mail it to.
Yeah.
I'll put your name, and then I'll put uh, your address, and then where it asks for like any kind of apartment number, or that part of the address where it's
Right.
like
Second line.
part two of the address. I'll put my name in there,
Oh,
and then your city and state.
yeah.
So now every month when you get that magazine, you see my name on the address label of your magazine, and it reminds you that I've sent that to you. Because one thing that we found that when we started doing mailers, I used to spend a lot of time, and still do, I guess,
Mhm.
a lot of time on making an interesting mailer
Mhm.
where I would do,
Content creation.
yeah, or like, hey, here's what the family's doing,
Mhm.
something creative on the
Right.
mailer, newsletters, all kinds of things, right? And they all work, right? There's nothing wrong with it. They all work just fine. Uh, what I found though is somebody challenged me one time. One of the members in our group said, I just do the recipe cards and get the same amount of closings per hundred that you do, Carl. And I thought, no way, not a chance. I write these amazing letters.
Mhm.
They're great. I've got a very interesting family. My mind tells me, right? I got a very interesting family, and of course, you want to hear what me and the kids and the lovely Mrs. White is up to, right? Because it's one of my favorite subjects, of course. And so I took half my database and started sending out these little recipe cards, right? Which is a postcard with a recipe on one side and my smiling face on the other. And so half the database got the recipe cards, half the database got my, what do they call it? Letters from the heart or
Mhm.
Superman letter, like all these different kinds of strategies. And what we found at the end of the year, they both worked phenomenally well. So when I say there was no difference, they were both awesome. They both gave
Right.
us great results. And so I started thinking about that, and I thought, well, gosh, one of my mantras is, what's the least I have to do to get the desired effect,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought, well, gosh, that's too easy. And then I was online ordering a magazine, and that's when the idea hit me. Why not send magazines to our database? And so I'll typically buy a 2-year subscription for each person in my database as part of their closing gift, and have my name show up on the magazine. And that's the only thing we send out to those people. And it's actually worked for me really well over the years.
Wow, that's so personal. I love
It
it.
is,
Mhm.
because as I, I'm gonna timestamp this. So here we are around Christmas time as we're recording this in the year 2023. And, some people are kind enough to mail me, a little thank you something for throughout the year. And, and sometimes it's, I'm not going to say things, but, sometimes it's kind of generic, a basket of cookies or whatever. And those are awesome. And I appreciate it. I really do. Right. But then sometimes I get like a Harley magazine, and I'm a motorcyclist, so I enjoy that. Or I'll get a
NASCAR.
camping today. Yeah, or I
NASCAR.
get a camping today, or or something like that. Like I get
Yeah.
something where I know that they know that about me. Or I'm a ham radio operator, and so I collect old tube radios. And every now and then somebody's kind enough, they'll send me the history of Helicrafter radio or something like that, which means nothing to 99.9% of people, but to me, I like it. Right, it's something I'm interested in. And it is that every, like, on the magazine time, every time they get a magazine on a topic that they like, they see Kristen's name
Mhm.
and a smile comes across their face. Well, that was cool. I like, and every month they're reminded of that. And it literally costs, I don't know how they do it so cheap. I think they make most of their money on the advertisers, and really the subscribers are just so they can advertise to the advertiser. We have 3 million people this goes out to, so you're advertising that you pay us more than if it was just a million. So I literally think they lose on the printing and the distribution of the magazine, and they make up for it, and then some. They make a profit on the advertising, and so it's just dirt cheap. But discountmags.com, isn't that a great little idea?
I love that. You want to show somebody genuine interest, talk about things that they're genuinely interested in. And that's
Yeah.
where that goes.
Yeah. So anyway, so I know we don't have a bunch of time. You're in between calls, and you were kind enough to. I messaged you and said, "Hey, can you be my ducky?" And I got this
Mhm.
question mark, question mark, question mark back. So I wanted to clarify that it was being very respectful. And I like the ducky thing too, though. I really do.
Mhm.
I like that ducky idea. For me, that's always historically been a person. So speaking of which, so Kristen, if when somebody's ready to run some ideas behind you, because you talk, my suspicion is, and this is literally, I don't know of anybody in the mortgage industry that talks to more loan officers with more ideas. And I'm not talking about getting on stage and talking to 5,000 people. I'm talking about one-on-one conversations where you're discussing ideas.
Yeah.
I literally don't know of anybody in the industry that has more conversations than you. Like literally, you you very well might be, and this is all kidding aside, you very well might be the most the hold the record of how many loan officers you talk to on a month to month basis, because all you do is just share ideas back and forth. So when somebody's ready for that and kind of run some ideas behind you, or here, hey, give me your 5 best things you've heard so far in the last month or two.
Yeah.
What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
They can shoot me an email, Kristen at themarketinganimals.com, and I'll send them a calendar link and we can hop on a call.
Perfect. And Kristen, spell Kristen for me.
Kristin. Not the I.
Kristin
Yeah.
at themarketinganimals.com. Well,
Yeah.
there's a couple ways to, I knew how to spell it, but
Well, no, I know, but people do mess it up all the time. So I'm glad you
yeah,
brought that.
because it might be CHRI Kristen that way. So
Right,
Kristen,
right.
Kristen,
Yeah. I'd love to. I absolutely love talking to different loan officers. And you're right. Man, just a wealth of knowledge. There's so many little nuggets out there.
what do you say? What would you say is the most often challenge that you hear on a week to week or day to day when you're talking to loan officers across the nation? What would you say is the number one challenge?
That people have.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I think stopping with the negativity, right? Focusing on things that they can't control, especially right now. The year has been this, or the interest rates are this, or the housing market is this, and I understand all of that. What can we control? And just kind of refocusing on the what our activities are, what our actions are.
Mm,
And database is huge for a lot of people.
mm,
You know,
mm. So you're saying if I go to Kristen at themarketinganimals.com, you can give me a set of activities
yeah,
to that, irregardless of the rates, irregardless of the market, I'll still close more loans.
yep. We will
Hey,
come up with an actionable plan.
hey. So by the way, a friend of yours, which I know you've spoken to, um, Nate Carver.
Oh, I love that man.
Yeah, well, he loves you too, my friend. So yeah. So Nate Carver, just talking with him this morning on the Breakfast Club, and what do you say? He had 10 closings for this month. So the month of December
Yeah.
2023, 10 closing. And he said like last year he had nothing, like zero, like zero.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's gone from 0 to 10 closings.
Yeah. He said he had 8 months in a row with zero. And the last 3 months, this was the biggest part. When I heard him say this, my jaw dropped. He said the last 3 months have been the best months he's ever had.
Isn't that amazing?
The last 3 months of 2023. I'm so happy for him.
It couldn't happen to a nicer guy. But it all started with a call.
You know where it all started with a boot camp.
Mm.
He came to a boot camp. I don't think he had a call with us first, but he came to a boot camp and started just kind of digging into these different activities and learning a little bit more. And then we had a strategy call, and then
Yeah.
and
There
we
you
have
go.
boot camp coming up in February. So
We do have a boot camp, but you don't have to wait for that. You can move to the front of
no,
the line.
yes,
You
yep,
can move to the front of the line.
can
And so, two ways you can do it. You can go to Kristen at themarketinganimals.com. The other way, if it's easier to remember, if you're driving down the road or walking right now. So, some people they tell me, Kristen, that they're like walk their animal in the evening and listen to us. So, the
Mhm.
thought of somebody taking their dog out while he's relieving himself and listening at the same time somehow supposed to be an honor of some sort. But anyway, and I'm saying that trying to be funny and
No,
I'll
I know.
out. So, but another way, if you go to freedomclubdemo.com,
Correct.
freedomclubdemo.com, freedomclubdemo.com,
Mhm.
and it'll take you to a calendar and you pick a time and date that works best for you.
Mhm.
And just put in there that you want to hang out with Kristen for about 30 minutes and she'll bounce some ideas off of you.
I'd love to.
Yeah, good stuff. Kristen, thanks so much. I appreciate you being here, my friend. And thanks
Always a
for all
pleasure,
your
Carl.
help.
Thank you so much.
All right, gang. Hey, thanks a lot for letting us be a part of your day. So, gold time, green time, make sure that you get on that calendar. If you need help with that, let us know. And yeah, that mags, discountmags.com. If you're wanting to know, it doesn't replace your phone calls. And if you need help with a phone call, again, we'll go over the script with that. But it's a great little mailer, discountmags.com. Thanks a lot, everybody. And we'll see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom. Bye bye.